I'm analyzing a brand new 4X strategy game that's been on a lot of people's radar, Aura History Untold. Some say it's a serious contender for the Civilization crown, so I had to check it out and see if it's worth your time. For full transparency, this was gifted by Xbox, so Xbox gave me the code for this game, and I'm gonna be honestly reviewing it with you and comparing it to Civilization. I've spent many hours dissecting this piece by piece and playing as different leaders to give you everything you need to know before diving in. At its core, Aura History Untold shares a similar concept to the Civilization series. You play as a unique leader throughout history, guiding your people as you expand your empire, develop cities, and strive to outshine your rivals in various fields. However, there are some pretty interesting differences that do set Aura apart. I think one of the biggest things that you'll notice is that Aura places a much heavier focus on micromanaging your cities, especially when it comes to like crafting items. These items can be used for several different purposes, from boosting production to influencing your city's development, which is really fun for those of us who love getting into the nitty-gritty of city management. Now, when it comes to diplomacy, Aura keeps things a little more streamlined compared to Civilization. You've got your basics like offering gifts, setting up trade agreements, proposing alliances, and of course declaring war, but that's about it. Civilization definitely offers more depth in this area. And one parallel that actually kind of matches Civilization are the Paragons. So every turn you have a chance to obtain Paragons, which are historical figures who can provide powerful benefits. You can either use them as advisors to improve your cities or create masterpieces to boost your prestige. Prestige is essentially the point system that determines who's winning the game, and it's also influenced by up to 7 categories: commerce, culture, government, industry, military, religion, and science, which you can spread to boost your score even further. Now, the game's pacing is pretty similar to Civ, though it can probably feel a lot slower at times due to the constant need to manage your crafting and resources with your city management. If you're a more casual player, this might be a little overwhelming because there's only like a super simple automation process for crafting items. There's not like an in-depth built-in automation to like kind of switch out the crafting items depending on like what you need at the time. The shortcut menus are good, but they're not good enough to kind of streamline it for a more casual play. Now, combat in the game is solid, but not quite as complex as in Civ. However, I really appreciate how they handle warfare differently. For example, going to war uses a lot of prestige, which can hurt your chances of winning later on if you focus too much on military conquest. So in Civilization, it's easy to crank out units and pressure your enemies without any penalties, but here, war has real consequences for your overall strategy. But this game is definitely more focused on the city management instead of military tactics. Now, visually, Aura History Untold is stunning. You can zoom all the way in on your units, your citizens, even animals roaming the world. The level of detail is really impressive, and I haven't experienced any performance issues on my setup, which is running an AMD 6700 XT. So if you're running something similar to that, you should be okay. Now, there are Steam reviews that are talking about a lot of performance issues, so just be wary of that. Unfortunately, the AI in this game is pretty standard for this kind of 4X strategy. They tend to stay neutral unless you really provoke them, and they don't offer too much of a challenge unless you push them into it. As for replayability, this game offers multiple ways to win, from focusing on like culture to dominating through science or industry. That said, after playing through 3 different leaders, I found the overall experience to be pretty similar across playthroughs. While you can set personal challenges to focus on specific prestige categories, I kind of wish the game did force and encourage more diverse strategies. Once you find one way to win, you kind of just want to do that method every time, unless you put yourself on that strict like role play aspect. One other thing I will say that I'm really impressed by though is the map design in Aura. So instead of like the typical hex grid, you get these beautifully realistic regions and biomes that make exploration feel more immersive. So discovering new resources and how they impact your city's development is really fun. So would I ultimately recommend Aura History Untold? If you're a fan of Civilization but crave like deeper city management and you don't mind like a more passive diplomacy system, then yeah. However, if you're someone that loves the military focus gameplay that Civ offers, or you need that more complex diplomacy system, then you know, Civilization still is going to be the king of the genre for you. Now, if you found this review helpful, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more in-depth game reviews. Let me know in the comments if you're planning on trying it, or if you think Civ is still going to reign supreme. Click this video or check out my playlist as well if you want to check out more reviews. As always, keep gaming and stay awesome.